Now, you both grew up in socialism, you came from Venezuela. How did these videos make you feel?
I start hearing this chanting. It just reminds me with a different language to what they used to chant in Venezuela. But they believe that what they're singing is actually going to provide a better life for them. It's actually the opposite.
You know, those very same values and ideas were the very same that destroyed Venezuela. You know, I think it's kind of hard to fight against these ideas, because if someone offers you free healthcare, free housing, free this, free that, how do you say people, hey, no, this is not the way? People want free stuff, right?
Well, what's wrong with free stuff? It sounds kind of good.
Yeah,
I like some free stuff.
Me too.
It sounds amazing, but I mean, it is not sustainable. Eventually, they ran out of money, and it wasn't impossible to keep financing all of these social programs and subsidies. And plus, the government, because they're socialists, they don't believe in private entrepreneurship and private businesses. They started to confiscate and to punish, business owners, and basically everybody stopped producing whatever they were producing before. And well, it was just a matter of time for the country to collapse.
Some people look at Venezuela and they'll say, well, this isn't real socialism. We've got places in Scandinavia that are doing great. They're doing awesome things. They're socialist. You know, you're cherry picking data points.
The reality is what you have in Venezuela, what you have in Cuba, when the state owns everything, from the small stuff to your life to the businesses. And that's socialism, not Sweden and Denmark. These are kind of countries, they actually produce and they know the value of having free markets. And they use those free markets to actually have a welfare state when people can enjoy some stuff with high taxes, of course, but they actually can deliver services because the country is based on free markets. That's completely different from Venezuela. In Venezuela, you have the complete opposite, because that's socialism. There is no free market. Everything is owned by the state. So you don't have choices, you don't have opportunities.
I look at the news, I see the people in Venezuela, they seem happy to me. You're telling me that they're discontent there? I just don't believe it. It seems that they like the system that the government set up for them.
But where do you watch the news? In Comedy Central? Or because that's not the way it is in Venezuela. Because
I mean, why do you think we're here? Like,
no, and why 5 million Venezuelans live in the country is the best example of how people is unhappy in Venezuela.
If you want to get accurate information about what's going on in Venezuela, talk to Venezuelan people. I mean, all of these Venezuelan communities settled in the US, I would say 99% of them, they're going to say exactly the same that we're telling you right now, and how horrible the system for us is.
And if I can add to that, you know, in Venezuela, the meaning of happiness is completely changed. Because, well, here in the US or anything, like you were saying, you have the opportunity to achieve stuff.
We have a Ministry of Happiness.
Yeah, we actually have a Ministry of Happiness in Venezuela.
That sounds so Orwellian. That's so creepy.
Yes, it's really creepy. The main goal of that ministry is to achieve the ultimate happiness of the Venezuelan people. But let me tell you, in Venezuela, for many people, their definition of happiness is having bread at that night. That's their happiness. For many people in the US, that's nothing. You know, they have bread, they have food, that's great. But in Venezuela, you have the two contracts. You understand how important it is to have food on your table one night, even if you didn't eat for the rest of the day, but you have that piece of bread that night, that makes you happy. But you know that that's your ceiling. And that's the wonder in living in a free society. Your ceiling is whatever you want your ceiling to be. It can be whatever you want in your life if you have that opportunity. But in Venezuela, what you have is socialism.
What else do we need to suffer to convince all of these people that socialism and communism and statism and collectivism, none of those ideas work?
So you're saying that this isn't capitalism, that this is just a lack of free markets?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And that's why they don't actually understand that everything that they hate about capitalism is actually socialism.